Well, it's been a minute since I've posted here on Unboxable Kings, and the reason for that is because I've pivoted my focus, which I have been known to do. You obviously don't know that, but I know in my reality that I'm not scared to pivot when I assess a situation and feel that the ecosystem is not producing the fruit that makes me the most nourished, that makes my family the most nourished. I've never been scared to make pivots, and I just focus with no explanation, and I encourage you to do that too, because you do have to look after your own interests. But in this video I want to talk about the decisions that led up to that pivot and why that may be of benefit to you in your experience, especially if you are a man seeking to live life on his own terms as an unboxable free king. That's what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. That's the mission of this channel. It will continue to be that. And as I pursue my version of that, my journey, I just share lessons from the quests along the way with the intention of empowering you. So let's talk about the pivot point. Well, when I started this channel, it was because my marketing agency had reached a T-junction where the clients that I had, we came to amicable decisions to no longer be in business relations. That was due to a number of reasons. They were both 6-month contracts that did get renewed, but not for the second time. That happens in business. My skills were taking me a different way. They were going a different way. But I went from essentially financial security to not in a very short amount of time. Nothing I've not experienced before and come back from. It's part and parcel. Energy flows. Currency is what it is. And as you're a young evolving king like me, still a young man, your systems are still developing to cover gaps in the currency flow. I'm very aware of that. That's obviously fine. But when I was at that T-junction, I was doing a lot of introspection and thinking about where I want to go next. And this type of business, this content, this movement, I don't really know what you call it, but talking to other men specifically had been on my heart for years. I'd attempted to do different versions of Unboxable Kings under different names, but the intention was always the same, was to share back the lessons and blessings and approaches that had allowed me to live the life that I'd kind of just left, if that makes sense. I.e., I was making pretty good, significant money, at least in my opinion, from a business I was running from home. I was just hanging out with a wife. I believe I'm in good shape. You know, all of these things that I believe I've done and unlocked that I never used to have, there is a calling within me to share those. And I know a lot of men get that too. So I was at that T-junction, I was like, well, why don't I just share this? And then this will, you know, there's going to be so much value here. If men really can create the life that I just had, you know, that would be a great thing to add to the marketplace. Because my other decision was obviously go get new clients and just carry on. So I was like, well, I've got energy stored, i.e. fiat currency stored. I'm going to pursue the Unboxable Kings because it's what's on my heart. And I went all in with that. And I think you can pretty much see that through video production, through the community, through spending money on ads, investing time into coaching calls, taking on a couple of clients, and just running with it for 75 days, as I said I was going to. That would be, I knew that if I got to that point without it yielding fruit, I'd have to pivot again because it was my energy resources would deplete. So I just went all in on that. And the results of that were, A, the message definitely resonates, which doesn't surprise me because hellfire, doesn't the Lord know that how many men feel boxed in and trapped and not fulfilling their potential in this world? It's a lot. For whichever reason you choose to believe that occurs, I believe it is a planned activity to keep men small, keep them less powerful, keep them less sovereign. But you interpret that however you want. So the message resonated. Got a lot of feedback from people saying this is like valuable work. I'm really grateful that you're doing it. A lot of the content that we were putting out, the guides, the approaches, men were receiving them and seeing results. The clients that we took on were, I'll talk on that in just a minute. So that they were the good parts. The difficult aspects, and this is something I've run into before, is that getting to actually being paid for this work proved to be difficult. I put together what I thought was 2 really good offers, where it was a one-time investment and then a guaranteed income at the end, and if it doesn't, I'd send it to you, and I really would have stood by that. But even getting that initial installment from men, the specific man I was talking to, just proved to be difficult. A lot of the sales calls I was on to close on products that they've already shown an interest in. This was very inbound, low-pressure marketing and sales, because you can tell it comes from the heart. The common feedback was, I just don't have the money. And when people say that they could get the money. But it was like they didn't see a reason to invest that money into themselves through me as a coach, through our coaching team. That's what it felt like. And there's only so many of those calls that you can do. And I have a number in my head where I'm like, hang on, there's something wrong here. The offer is wrong. What I'm doing, there's something out of sync, because this isn't how it was draining me. And I was like, why am I being drained here? I'm trying to empower men, and draining me, pouring from an empty cup, ain't going to work, you know? So I was like, what's going on with this, and what do I have to do about it? Because it got to the point where the fear had run out, and I was like, okay, I clearly cannot be reliant on empowering another man to live an empowered life. That was the trap that I fell into, and I think that is maybe what a lot of men's coaching, you fall into the trap, and then it becomes unattractive, right? Because you go from being the gladiator in the arena, living the free sovereign life that you're promoting, to the guy that's just helping other men achieve it and then dependent on them. And I got there and I realized that I was in that trap, and I was like, whoa, this needs to change. This needs to change fast, because this doesn't benefit anybody. And I realized that the guy that I was talking to obviously doesn't necessarily have fear saved up. He doesn't necessarily have the ability to invest in himself through emotions, or actual physically can't have the money to do it in that exact moment. I get that, and I've been there, you know, but that's who I was specifically talking to. So from an advertising point of view and a marketing sales point of view, I was breaking really the core principles of what it takes to be successful in that approach, because the ads I was running, the numbers, the metrics, everything was really good, but the final products was dudes, and man, I got love for you, obviously that's why I do this channel, weren't ready to actually invest in that. So regardless of how good your advertising is, if your end user isn't ready to invest, it's gonna be really difficult to make it have a return on ad spend. So then I go back to the lab, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to just stop the men's work. I'm clearly passionate about it, and I'm sharing this with you because maybe you have a couple of things going on you in the rubric of figuring out how to make them work together in like your garden of life. I'm like, okay, well, I still want to continue to do that. The clients that we've signed, one has gone missing, in a sense of he paid a small deposit and now I haven't heard from him after multiple follow-ups. Is that because he didn't invest to a point where he was committed, or was that because he got his value and now he's seen enough? Is that just a numbers thing? Is that natural variance? I don't know. The other guy is doing really well. He's seen pretty exponential growth, lots of changes in his life, all the changes I knew would happen. He's on his trajectory, he's making more money, he's expressing himself, he's putting on muscle weight, all this stuff I knew that would happen because the concepts and principles are just what they are. That's what was happening to him. So I'm like, all right, how do I continue this, but in a way where I'm not dependent on it, and how do I benefit from it? And how do I make more men opt into it? Because wouldn't the world be better if more men were doing the same as the results I'm seeing in the paid client? Yes, in my opinion. Putting all that together, going through the Josh Matron, figuring it out, and I encourage you, if you're going through this process, it's just take it some time. The world moves so fast that ruminating and thinking on something for 2 weeks, 4 weeks can make it seem like you're not moving at all, but come on. You can take a little bit of time to figure through your options. I came to the conclusion that I want to inspire men by being in the arena and sharing what's working for me, but at the same time having the doors open for them to get the coaching, but in a way that I'm not dependent on it, and they have to actually invest in it, and then giving everything else away for free. That seems to be the rubric that I'm working with. And then another aspect of that is, because I'm back doing my advertising agency now, and I've already got clients again, more clients are coming, that's growing. And with the delivery and fulfillment, there's going to be new roles that I need covering. Going to need help, copywriters, video editors, email people, all the stuff that goes into advertising. So through the coaching program, I'm like, well, why don't I set the guarantee to where men can get coached, and then when they are in a certain place and they're not boxed in anymore, well, what they're going to want to do for money? Well, couldn't they do strategic partnerships and either work with me or for me? Collectively, if they get those skills, like a guy comes in and he's like, I'm going to do copywriting. I'm like, hey, I have a paid gig for copywriting. Who am I going to look to? The paid people that have gone through my process, or the process, not really mine, you know. So that created quite a nice synergy for me, and I just seen that immediately happen, because the client that I've signed, he's growing and he's stepping into his talents. His talents are now going to help me in the advertising agency for a client. Isn't that pretty cool? Isn't that a good feedback loop? That made me feel cool, you know. And I think what I wanted to share a lot on this video as well is that this journey of being a man is really learning to balance the different energies that you come built with, masculine and feminine. Because for me, the coaching and the supportive, nurturing role is very feminine. And when I dip into that too much and I go too far into it and I don't have any masculine energy, it just makes me feel weird. I don't like it. I feel dependent, and I feel like a woman, dependent on somebody else for income, dependent on somebody else for identity, dependent on somebody else. It's just, you don't want that. And I've only been in that a few weeks. I guess there's probably been chapters in my life where I've been in it too long. Maybe you have too, I don't know. But when you balance it with the masculine, you feel independent. Your testosterone goes up. You feel way better. And in going back to doing it, I'm like, oh man, why did I ever leave this? Why did I ever leave? It feels good. It feels good to do that. So in your life, I encourage you to analyze the balance of masculine and feminine. And I've got the yin yang and interpretation on it on my back, because you obviously can't be 100% masculine. You can't be. You got to have that little circle of feminine energy too. But I just wanted to give you an update of the future of this channel, where we're at, how you can benefit from it, what I'm doing, and then share that with you guys, because I want to empower you. I don't want this to stop. The world, I still want Unboxable Kings to. That's what I was talking with the client about. I don't even want to call him client anymore. The dude that I'm working with within this, the one paid client that's really committed, he really gets the concept of like men being unboxed and collaborating together to create more abundance. That's what it is. And I explained to him, I said, like, when I was fully dependent on another dude for my income, it honestly felt like they were kind of like banging me. And I don't want that anymore. Whereas it's collaboration. It's like we all win, you know, we all share winnings in proportion to who provides and serves, etc. But he really gets it. I really want you to get it too. I want to share this. It's obviously a concept that was put on my heart by somebody, a power a bit greater than me. It's obviously not just about me. So I'm just going to share what works, encourage you guys to embody the version of you that makes you feel most free, and then provide opportunity where it works. We are still going to do a coaching program for sure, but it's going to be slightly different to what it was, and a little bit, I'm not going to be dependent on it at all, because we're going to be selling. I've got lots of things to sell. It doesn't have to just be that. So yeah, thank you all for being here. If you have any comments, I'm going to be bringing a new energy to this channel that's less me trying to prove myself, my entity into the world, and instead talk about the Unboxable Kings. So I appreciate you being here. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Much love. Peace.